Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to the Productside webinar, which we title Ask, Listen, and Learn How to Run Better Empathy Interviews with AI as Your Helper. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Give everybody a chance to find their way over to our Zoom room. In the meantime, if you can drop in the chat where you're dialing in from, um, we'll get a chance to see who's here and where they're from.
Absolutely.
Ryan's from the happy city of Pittsburgh.
That's right. This is a nice time of year in Pittsburgh. Don't come in January, Kenny.
I won't. I won't. Oh, we got two
All right.
kinds of Londons going on.
Yeah,
All
Sheffield.
right, welcome.
Yeah, Kat, I recognize you. I remember we had class together a while ago.
Welcome, Kat.
Yeah. And we have Canada represented.
So I was in Canada a couple months ago, and there was this T-shirt that said "No 51." And given I'm from Seattle and we've just retired two of our baseball players with number 51, I thought they didn't like Seattle. But it turns out they just don't want to be the 51st state.
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, we have somebody from Egypt. Welcome.
Welcome, Sahar. Good to see
Yeah.
you. Good to see you. We'll give it one more minute for everybody to find for their reminders to go off and actually react to them. Someone's from South
Uh,
Africa. Welcome, Nicole.
Cape Town. Yep.
Welcome, everybody. All right, Ryan, should we kick things off here?
I think so, Kenny.
All right, awesome. First, let me be the first to welcome you to our product side webinar on how to run better interviews with your customers using AI. And I'm not going to tell you to go use AI to do interviews with your customers. So if you're dialing in for that, you're not going to get that answer. But I will help you do better interviews to leverage AI to help you do better discovery interviews with your yeah, customers. And it's all about asking, listening, and learning from them. So first we'll introduce ourselves. I'll introduce myself. I am Kenny Kranseler. I am a principal consultant and trainer here at Productside, have been for about the last 7 years or so. Prior to that, spent time doing product management at places like, believe it or not, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Microsoft, Amazon, and a whole host of startups up in the Seattle area.
Yep, and I am Ryan Cantwell. I have been with Productside about 5 years, and before that, had the opportunity of doing lots of B2B portfolios of product, whether it was hardware, software, or services. I have probably seen something that's complex that is a combination of all three. So I'm excited to share those experiences with you too.
Excellent.
And let's get to know Productside a little bit, everybody. If you are familiar with us, welcome back. If you're not, a quick word on who we are. Productside, as an organization, we are a group of very passionate product people, but we love helping product teams all over the world build products that your customers want to buy and use. And the way we do that has grown a lot. Assessments is where we see where you really stand. Training is what builds the muscle. And advisory is where we sit beside you and your team to make the hard calls. So these three areas that we can help you in, from assessment through training to advisory, all have one goal. And that is achieving the business outcomes that you can point to, that move your organization and yourselves forward. And as we do this business, we see the impact AI is having. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here today. And it's kind of changing the game a little bit on what good product management looks like. And I'm excited to have Kenny share with you how you can leverage it as a tool to make yourselves better. So, most of all, I want you to leave with knowing that Productside is your partner in product, everybody. We're here to be that friendly companion that you can always trust and you can find answers from. So, now let's talk about you a little bit. So, Kenny, if you wouldn't mind. So, as we go forward, we really want to see you engaged. And first and foremost, I guess we always get the question of, can I watch this later? And the answer is yes. You'll get the recording link in your inbox after we wrap up the session today. So, as we're going through, though, during our live chat, we want you to talk to us. Drop questions in QA as they come to you. Don't sit on them until the end. We kind of like addressing those things as we go. So, I'll be watching, and Kenny will be demoing. He'll be doing lots of things today, so you can get the hands on and see what good looks like. And we found that the best sessions are the ones where you get to push back on us a little bit in real time and we get to respond. So also feel free to use the chat to interact with one another as well. Compare thoughts, swap stories, tell someone something that you've tried recently. Those are all good things that you can share in the chat. So as I would love it if the you get not only as much from Kenny, but from each other out of the session would make it a win. So don't hold back. It works best when we have a conversation. And then as we go forward, we'd love for you to connect with us. Please do stay in touch. And the best way to do that is by finding us on LinkedIn and connecting with us there. So remember, we're your partner in product, everybody. And this is your invitation to the party. It's where we put the leadership stuff worth stealing, the AI tips and tricks, and the ongoing arguments about what makes product management work all in one place where you can find it and use it. So it's real valued, delivered all the time. So feel free to scan the code or hit the link that I have a feeling our friends at Productside are going to add to chat right now.
They did.
It just takes 10 seconds. And that will kind of give you that outlet to Productside. So as we go forward, we can use that as a way, just like leveraging the comment section here in our webinar, you can keep the train rolling with our community going forward. So with that, I think Kenny is,
Yeah, thank you, Ryan.
yeah.
So we've got a good introduction. What I'm going to walk you through actually is how do you leverage AI to help me do better empathy interviews with my customer? How do I get more out of them? How do I get an understanding of not just what they might be asking for, those features that are burning in their request, but really understand what their needs, what their pains, what their concerns, what jobs they're trying to get done, and how do we get there? So in the course of doing that, I will be walking through essentially this agenda. So first we'll start out and say, in this world that we live in today, why do empathy interviews still matter? Why do I care? Why am I going to do some of those? And once I convince you that they do still matter, we're going to walk through, and I'm actually going to do a live demo in the process of working through the process of using AI to help me do better interviews. So you get to see me actually do an empathy interview live in this class with AI. I'll be using Claude as my AI chatbot of choice, but all of them have capabilities that can do. So we'll start with, how do I start? I'm about to do empathy interviews. How do I get some ideas on where I start doing that interview? We'll walk through how AI might help me actually conduct and do better interviews. And then at the end, the place where we've probably used AI to date so far is how to analyze interviews. So we'll talk about that. And then I'll wrap up a little bit with building some high quality AI habits in general, not specific to the interviews. And then you all have a chance to do some questions and answers. But before we dive into all these wonderful and exciting topics, and I sort of walk around using AI live during this class, I want to get some input from you all on how much you use empathy interviews today. So if you all can put into the chat how many empathy interviews you have run personally or close to personally in the last quarter, we'll get a sense of sort of what the audience looks like in that. We'll give you a few seconds here to answer the question. We'll see how many of you can throw your answers in here. We'll give you about 5 more seconds to throw your answer into Zoom. All right, I will end the poll and we'll see how the answers came out. All right. Looks like a lot of people aren't doing a lot of interviews yet. So I'm going to encourage you to do some every quarter. If you haven't talked to a customer in the last quarter, you should change that behavior. So about 40% of you have, which is good. And a couple of you have done extensive interviews in the last 3 months or so, but a bunch of you have not. And if you haven't, we'll give you some ideas of when you do them, how you might actually go about doing them better. So the first question I'm going to answer for you all is, why do ambient interviews still matter? Why do I care in today's world where I can get information in so many different ways from my customers? I can set up, a chat bot to go get the answers. I can set up a way for people to, on the web, put reviews and insights and that stuff. Why do I care about actually going out and doing a one-on-one interview with my customers? Well, a lot of it goes back to the a quote that Henry Ford made, probably about 130 years ago, that said if I'd asked people what they wanted, they probably would have asked for a faster horse. Um, um, so if you think about that, right, we wouldn't have cars yet if people just did that. So the core point here is that a lot of product managers default to asking, what do you want? Or any of the input methods you have essentially asks what do you want. Tends to surface feature requests. It doesn't let me understand needs, right? It's a lot of people say, hey, I've got a group that reaches out to customers. I've got customer success. I've got customer support. Why don't I just compile all the requests that they got? Well, um, getting your information secondhand puts an automatic filter on the feedback we might get from folks. Um, it doesn't really get us to understand what are the needs, what are the jobs that our customers really need to get done, and what gets in the way of doing those. What are some of the emotional, functional, social jobs that our customers have out there? You know, they may want some. What are the functional activities that help that they're trying to achieve using our product? Maybe they want to do that job faster, right? Maybe they want to feel more confident walking into that next meeting as a result of using your product. Maybe they want to be look like they're on top of things, that they're actually um, uh, capable in getting that job done. We need to understand what those are and where those look. And none of this works if you don't know how to actually surface those elements in the conversation. And some of us might default to two behaviors that I think are a transition, that are a challenge here, right? There's sort of a trap that goes up, and there's sort of two ways we can lose the story. One is hand it over to AI the whole time. We'll do synthetic everything. We'll have AI run the interviews with synthetic personas. We don't have to do anything. It's really easy for us. We can be hands off. It's pretty seductive. It's fast. It's cheap. It's always there. But we don't get the understanding. We don't get the stories behind what our customers have, and we really can't be confident that the folks we're talking to are the right folks that are going on. The second one is, hey, I've decided I want to do an empathy interview. I'm going to write a very detailed script with a fixed question list that I ask the same people. That can cause some damage in the opposite direction, right? We don't get those stories that the customers have. We don't get the emotions. We don't get the feelings. We don't get the understanding. We don't get the examples that happen as a result thereof. So what does that mean, right? What does that mean in terms of how we go forward and use some of those? Um, what we want to do is do those interviews, talk to our customers on a fairly regular basis, and have really a topic guide, not a real script. Um, we want to enable customers to tell us the stories that they have around how they use our product, where they use our product, when they use our product, some of the challenges they have when that happens, and what they're really trying to accomplish when they're using our product at a specific point in time. All right, so where do we start? Well, you start with who you're going to talk to. Who are my customers? Where are they going from? How are they getting there? What's important to them? So, as I said, a lot of this session is going to be me actually doing a customer interview out there. So, for the moment, um, think about not me as a consultant at Productside or a trainer at Productside, but rather as a product manager at a company that I'll call, I don't know, Meridian CRM. It's a CRM company. And I am going to conduct a an interview with some of my customers. Well, it turns out that one set of those customers, I've created some personas for them. And one of those personas we call Priya, and Priya is really the sales operation manager. She owns the weekly pipeline forecast across 40 different sales representatives, right? Functionally, she needs to compile an accurate forecast from all the input she gets from those representatives. Emotionally, she sort of wants to walk into that VP's office, feel confident, not hedging. She wants to be seen as the source of truth in terms of revenue data. So I'm going to walk you through several prompts, and you may feel a need to write down the prompts as I throw them on the screen for Claude. Do not worry, do not do that. We will actually share all the prompts with everybody that is attending this webinar, so don't worry about those. Be present in the moment. As I said, I'll share those prompts, but you don't have to write them down, scribe them down. You'll actually get a copy of those in your inbox after the session we have today. All right, so let's talk a little bit how we might leverage AI to help us do an interview with a persona, someone like Priya. So here's a prompt that you might want to start with to help you get that sort of loose topic guide in terms of what you might want to ask during the session, right? Prompt says, here's my persona. Again, give some insight into who that persona is, right? What does that look like, right? So, and ask it to suggest 4 or 5 loose topic areas to cover in an empathy interview. So you don't want specific questions, you just want areas to explore and allow you to let the conversation go. So here's the loose topic guide that might happen. How does Priya get forecast built today? What trustworthy data means to them? Moments where the numbers go wrong? What happens when the leadership pushes back? And what they wish they didn't have to double check as a course of doing that. So I've got some good by throwing that by persona and the just prompt that I put in here, I can get a good topic guide potentially to do my interview. So now I've got a topic guide, I've got a persona. We'll set up some interviews. We'll find some customers to talk to, and we'll go talk to them. All right, how do I conduct the interview, right? How do I get myself ready to conduct the interview? Well, first thing is you want to practice, right? Don't just jump in and start doing the interview. You can practice. You can practice this and remind yourself you can do this better over time, right? The first thing to remember, you're going to want to ask open-ended questions. Closed-ended questions do not help. Do not help anyway. All you'll get is the yes/no question. You won't get the color around that. You won't get the understanding of what happens when when a customer faces a challenge. Some helpful questions that will work and some nice open-ended questions that'll help you get there. Why is your friend when you're doing empathy interviews? And the other thing that you can use, if you find silence and want to fill it up, tell me more sometimes works there as well. And again, we're not trying to propose solutions to our customer. We're not trying to sell the solutions we may have thought up during the interview to throw at them and see if it's a good idea. No, what you really want to do is understand the customer's challenges. You want to understand their what is causing them any pains during the process of using your product. And again, don't feel a need to jump in. And if there's a silence in the interview itself, let it happen. It allows that customer to go deeper in terms of what they might be telling you. So
That's
don't
that's
worry
my
about that.
favorite interview trick, Kenny, is say nothing and they will
Just
fill
say
the void.
people have a natural propensity to want to fill voids in discussions. Let it
Yeah.
happen.
And Kenny, we have a question actually. I think this might be a good
Yeah.
opportunity for that. The question is, should an empathy interview always be one to one, or can you do the interviews with an audience or a panel of customers?
You can do it a bunch of ways, right? Sometimes it all depends on the comfort level of the customer, right? The challenge, the benefit you get from having multiple folks in the empathy interview is people can bounce their ideas off one another and you get different perspectives. What can also happen though is you get groupthink
Right.
and people will start to consolidate on one person's opinion. So watch out for that when you're in course of doing interviews, a customer insight with multiple folks.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, Kenny, by saying that be sensitive to what you're trying to learn and know if so I've had situations where I said, "Oh, this will be great. My user and buyer are going to be in the interview together." But the buyer persona is the user persona's boss, and the user persona doesn't want to tell me everything in front of their boss. So, depending on what I want to learn, I might say,
Yeah.
"No, I need to do this one
Yeah.
privately,"
Yeah.
or,
So
"Hey, you know
watch
what?"
out on group dynamics, right? Sometimes they
Right, be
happen.
sensitive to that. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. The other thing that sometimes comes up is, do I want to have multiple folks from my company actually involved in that process? And that's actually not a bad idea.
absolutely.
I would have told you have multiple people there so one can take notes, but now you don't necessarily need that. You can have someone else listen in and take notes for you. So you don't need that second person to take notes for you as much as you used to. But what happens is you get multiple perspectives.
Right.
And that's a huge benefit that you can get, right?
Mm.
Regardless of how much we try and want to, we all have biases. And that biases impacts what we hear and what we might take away as conclusions from those interviews. So watch out for those. And that's why you might want to bring someone who has a different perspective on things than you do to some of your customer empathy interviews. They'll get different
Hmm.
things out of them than you do. Again, you may think we don't need that with AI, but you still do. All right, so now I'm going to jump in. I am going to do a live empathy interview with Claude in this process. So what I'm going to do is a couple of things. So now I am going to see what we got here. Oh, good.
And
Thank
so
you.
as Kenny gets this fired up, everybody, what you're about to see is how you can use AI tools yourself to practice and do better yourselves. So we're gonna demonstrate it for you, and hopefully you can take away. So as we go through, if there's anything you feel like, oh, it feels like you skipped over that, or I'd like to know exactly what happened as you set that up, like those kinds of things, feel free to put them in here, and we're happy to elaborate.
Great. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that, Ryan. So what I'm sharing out now is my interaction with Claude. And what I've done is I basically that persona slide that I showed you before about Priya, some of the core needs of Priya, I've actually put that into a markdown file and I've attached that to my Claude window. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take our live role play prompt. Again, we will share this out. And I'm going to put that into Claude as well, which basically just gives some understanding about that I want Claude to act as Priya and be my partner in this discussion, right? So I'm telling it to be Priya. I want her to be fully in character during the interview. Answer only what I ask. Don't volunteer. Don't give me the easy answer. Uh, be difficult. Stay in that character, and then stop when I say stop. Right. So I have set up Claude to be my partner in this discussion. And Claude's going to respond to me. It's thinking a little bit. Here we go.
It's
All
gonna ask you a couple of questions.
right. So now I'm gonna tell it to load Priya and be my interview partner here. It's thinking about how to do that and be Priya. All right. And I've put Claude into interact mode. Uh,
Sorry, what do you mean, interact mode? Are we starting?
we will in just a second, Claude. Pause for a second.
Sure, take your time. Waiting. Still in character as Priya.
Hi, Priya. I'm trying to get user feedback on my CRM product.
Oh, hey. Yeah, sure, Meridian, right? We've been on it, gosh, coming up on 3 years now, I think. What do you want to know?
Well, Priya, tell me what a typical Monday looks like for you as you're using our CRM application.
Uh, Mondays. Okay, so I'm usually in by like 7:30 because the forecast call with Greg, that's our VP of sales, is at 10, and I need to have the roll-up done before that. So I pull the pipeline report, and that's when the fun starts. Because half my reps update their deals Friday afternoon in this big batch, so I'm never totally sure if what I'm looking at Monday morning is actually current or just Friday's version of current, if that makes sense. I usually end up pinging a couple people directly, like, hey, is this Marquez deal still slipping to next quarter or did that move? Stuff that should just be in the system.
So what kind of information are you not getting from the system that would help build your forecast better?
Honestly, the biggest thing is just confidence, I guess. Like, the stage is in there, the close date's in there, but I don't know why a close date moved. Did the champion go quiet? Did procurement kick it back? Half the time, that's sitting in some rep's email thread or a note field nobody filled in. So I end up finding out the real story after I've already told Greg a number. Like 2 weeks ago, I told him a deal was a lock for end of quarter, and turns out the rep hadn't talked to the customer in like 10 days. That's not a great feeling walking into that room.
So how do you create better forecasts and feel better when you walk into your meetings with Greg?
A little wry laugh. Honestly, I've kind of built my own thing on the side. A spreadsheet where I track deals I don't trust, where the notes look thin or the close dates moved more than once. I cross-reference it against what's in Meridian before I walk in. I probably shouldn't say that out loud, actually. Don't put that in a slide or whatever. It's not exactly a vote of confidence in the system, but it's the only way I feel like I'm not just reading someone else's numbers back to them.
So Priya, can you tell me about that spreadsheet? What do you put in there and how do you get the information to fill it out?
Yeah, so it's pretty janky, honestly. I've got a tab with every open deal over a certain size and columns for like last contact date, whether the close date's moved and how many times, and then just a gut check column where I mark it red, yellow, green based on vibes, basically. To fill it out, I'm digging through the notes field in Meridian, but half the time that's empty or it's just checking in. So I end up going to the rep directly or scrolling back through my own email if I was CC'd on something. It's a lot of manual detective work for stuff that honestly should just be visible.
So what do you think we could put in Meridian that would make your job easier and make that spreadsheet easier to fill out? Or maybe not make it not even needed.
Honestly, just reminders like pings the reps automatically if they haven't touched a deal in a while. That would probably fix most of it. Pause. Though actually saying that out loud, I don't know if that's really it. We already nagged them plenty, and it doesn't change what happens Friday afternoon.
Ooh, that sounds tough, Priya. So what do you do after your meeting with Greg to make the forecast more accurate over time?
Honestly, not as much as I probably should. Like, in theory, I'd love to be systematically going back through and tightening up data quality across the board. But in practice, Monday afternoon rolls around and it's just whichever three deals blew up in the meeting, like, why did this one move again? And I'm chasing those specific fires instead. Short pause, like she's catching herself. Huh, I guess when you put it that way, that's kind of funny. I'll tell anyone data quality is priority one for me, but most of my actual week is just firefighting whatever Greg flagged, not really auditing anything.
So how do you actually do some of that firefighting? What kind of work do you do to fight some of those fires?
So say Greg flags the Marquez deal in the meeting, I'll go straight to the rep, usually Slack, like, what's the real status here? Sometimes I'll pull up the account in Meridian and just start reading through whatever notes exist. Or I'll dig through my own inbox if I remember being copied on anything. If it's a big enough deal, I might even sit in on the next call with the rep just so I'm not relying on secondhand info anymore. It's just one deal at a time, whack-a-mole style. There's no system to it. It honestly just depends on who yells loudest in the meeting.
Thanks, Priya. I know this is a short discussion we've had so far, and I really appreciate your time in sitting down with me and letting me know about your forecast. Would it be okay if I contact you in the future, maybe by email with additional questions?
Yeah, of course, that's fine. My email's the same one you probably already have from the account team, priya.natarajan, at the company domain. Just don't loop me into some big group thread with 12 people. I'll never get to it. A small smile. Good luck with it, though, genuinely. If some of this actually gets fixed, it'd make my Mondays a lot less painful.
Thanks, Priya. Appreciate your time.
Warm wrapping up. No problem. Good luck with Greg's meeting. Well, mine, I guess. Take care. Out of character. And that's a wrap on the role play whenever you're ready to debrief. Just let me know if you want to jump into the critique now or take a breather first.
We'll take a breather first. All right, Ryan, how do you think I did?
Ah, wow. Okay. So I heard a reaction, but before I give my answer, I want to ask the room. Everybody, how do you think Kenny did? Put it into chat. Let's give him a grade. Did he leave opportunity for anything? Gabriella says he was awesome.
Thanks, Gabriella.
Yeah. All right, I got this. Oh, cool. Michael liked it. That's cool. Worth an A plus. That was fantastic.
All right,
Ah.
the audience think I did a good job, Ryan. What did I do wrong? Tell me.
Okay. So here's a few things I heard and saw. So this is as I was watching the interaction happen. First things first is I think it was the second question you asked. You asked, "What are you not getting with our
Yeah.
CRM system?" And I think a good follow-up to that might have been, "What's the consequence of you not getting that?" So trying to
Mhm.
understand the result of like to understand how painful is that really to them. So your spreadsheet follow up as you went along, Kenny, I thought that was fantastic. Like, oh, the
Yeah.
spreadsheet. Tell me about the spreadsheet.
We
Because
found, we found something to anchor on too. I want a copy of that spreadsheet, I think.
yeah, tell me about the spreadsheet. And because manual processes were mentioned a few times, so I think I
Yeah.
loved how you homed in on that. So there was also something where they were talking about their manual detective work. Priya was saying, I do lots of manual detective work. I would have probably wanted to say, okay, when you're doing manual detective work, where do you go? How many steps does it take? What time is invested there? Um, and then at the very end, I think what
Yeah.
was it? If you could solve this for me by Monday, it'd be a lot less painful. I may have asked one of my favorite interview questions, Kenny. On a
Yeah.
scale of 1 to 10, how painful is it to you today? So
Yeah, well,
quantify that for me. How
we'll
painful is
get
it?
some quant there. All right. So
Yeah.
one of the things that I want to give you insight to is that we can actually use AI to help us improve better. So thank you all for providing your input. Let's ask Claude. Let's see what Claude thinks about this too, right? So I've got another little prompt that I'm going to share with all of you that's going to actually ask Claude to do some critiquing of the interview I just did with Priya. Um, so so what I'm going to have Claude do, and again, I will share this for you. Hold on. So here's my little prompt that I'm putting into Claude. I'm going to tell it I've got a transcript and I want it to be direct. Give me the one thing I did well, not generic. Give me things I should do, and where I may have fixed. So as a result, Claude will come back to me. And I wish Claude would speak it, but if I don't speak to Claude, Claude won't speak back to me. So Claude's looking at my interview. See what I could have done better. Let's see what Claude says about things that I might have improved. So I did some leading questions in here. So it didn't like that I did that. I probably cut off some stories. I didn't get enough stories. I should try to let her finish, right? Right after she volunteered the spreadsheet, I did the right thing and dug into the mechanics of it. But maybe my next question should be, what could we put in Meridian, right? But the very next question after that was, what could we put in Meridian? I went to a solution space at that point. Um, I had her in a very vulnerable, specific, detail-rich moment, and used it to ask for a feature request instead of going deeper. Maybe I should have gone deeper, right? Um, the one thing I did do well was, as you noted, Ryan, was asking her about that spreadsheet, right? Strong technique. She made an admission that she was visibly uneasy about it. Probably shouldn't say that loud. And the easy human wrong thing to do is reassure you, which kills the thread. I didn't do that. I went straight into the specific, concrete, non-judgmental follow-up question to get some insight from Priya. So I probably did an okay job, according to Claude, but there are some things I could probably do better to make things work better for her. Excellent. All right, awesome. Yeah, lots of folks have that. All right, so let me share back out my window here. So a couple of things in general as you're doing some of these empathy interviews, I want you to think about, right? Um, do stay 100% human. You are talking to another person when you're doing some of these interviews, regardless of what Claude might tell you, there are things you could do. I want you to practice active listening. And it might even be summarize what you heard from your interviewee, make them feel comfortable that you actually heard what they're saying, allows them to go deeper in some of those things. And what you can't do in terms of Claude and the virtual interview that I just did here, that you might want to try to do, is read the body language. See what's making that interviewee feel uncomfortable. See where they might have an opportunity to go deeper in some of those things. Sometimes you can learn a lot by just viewing someone in terms of what's going on there. It allows you to see some of these things of what they might say might be different from what they do in terms of those things. And using that body language will get you some of those. And as Ryan mentioned, don't be afraid of silence, especially in some of the interview scenarios. It's okay if someone is sitting there silently and giving you some information about what happened about there, right? What
Yeah, and Kenny, we have another question.
Oh, good. I like
This
questions.
one is a little more nuanced, because it can go in a few directions. So we have somebody who's recently tried to conduct an empathy interview with a customer that they knew would be challenging going in. And as as they left, they realized all they did was lock themselves in a room with someone who wanted to do nothing but complain for an hour. So how do you handle those situations when you know you need to be exploring, but you're not given the opportunity to do it?
So there's a couple of things. One is sometimes your job, it's okay. If you've got a customer that really wants to moan, letting them moan is sometimes a good idea to do some of those things. But I'd use it as an opportunity. Let that moaning happen. Let them tell stories behind some of the gripes that they're making. It may just be that they're griping at you, but you can actually get insight from what's happening there. Ask them to tell a story about where some of the challenge that they're giving to you actually happened, and let them tell a story about those. You'll get amazing insight as a result of that.
Yeah, those are tricky. I had somebody once do, I was interviewing them and they were more interested in telling me about their weekend with their grandkids than actually answering my questions. Sometimes in these situations, like when it is a complaining customer, you have to be empathetic to them. Like Kenny said, let them vent because you don't want to damage that relationship. But if it's another situation and you don't want to waste your time, it's okay to cut bait and run. Like
Yeah, yeah.
just
There
say,
are there are times if they're telling you about their grandkids and the wonderful fun they had at the zoo, you might say, "Great, thank you for that. I really appreciate you telling me that." Now, let's get back on topic
that's what we
here.
tried to do. It was like herding cats. We kept trying. Yeah.
Can't always get there. All right, time for one more poll. So as you think about some of the empathy interviews that you may have done, and I know a lot of you haven't done too many in the last quarter at least, what's your biggest struggle in empathy interviews? Right? Um, given what we just saw in my interview, I guess a few of you are about to pick the same option I would have. But what are some of the challenges you run into? So if someone can launch the poll.
Yeah.
There we go. Is it staying open-ended? Is it turning it into insight? Following the why? Sitting in silence? Avoiding leading questions? Give everybody a few minutes to answer. A few seconds.
Ooh, this is interesting.
All right. Oh, good. We got full compliance here. I'll share the results out.
Yeah.
Looks like that. Oops. Did we share it? Got it in
Yep,
the folder.
I think there we go.
Okay. Now I got to share it.
Yeah, you've now it's being shared, so
Okay,
everyone
good.
should see it.
Sorry, I had to kill a fly. All right. So avoiding that leading question is a big one, right? And this comes from folks. We have a perspective. Sometimes it's hard for us not to share our perspective, right? So what I want you all to do is to start thinking about, how can I just go deeper on what folks are saying versus asking that, leading them, oh, could we try, what if we tried this? What if we tried that? Don't do solutioning during the interviews. Use them as your fodder for actually doing some of that brainstorming and getting to those, but don't do your brainstorming during the empathy interviews.
Yeah,
That's
and
it.
a trick I would use sometimes, Kenny, when I was going into an interview, as I was introducing myself to the person I was interviewing, I would tell them off the bat, like, I work for this organization. I'm going to ask you some questions that you feel like I should know the answer to. But
That's a
I want you to know I'm here to learn from you. And that gave me the card to play dumb, where I could try and avoid some of those things. But
Yeah, great idea, Ryan. It
mm,
actually could work. All right. So next step is you've got these interviews, and I would I would encourage you to do more than one. Um, and AI now can be your friend to actually start to analyze, to figure out across some of these interviews what's valuable there. And again, we'll have a little prompt that we'll go through. And what are you trying to get out of this analysis when you get there? Well, it goes back to what we said at the beginning. You really want to get this understanding. And this little sort of customer understanding chart is a way to get at some of those things. And you want to pull a little bit of those. So once you have that persona and know who that is, you may want to validate this is the right persona for your role, for your job. So get some information around that. But then really understand, what are they trying to accomplish when they use your product? What is it their key task that they're trying to get done? And as a result of doing that job, what's the end goal? What's the outcome they want to have from doing those jobs? Inevitably, there are problems that block getting to that desired outcomes, that create some pains. You want to understand what those pains are and how you can start to alleviate those pains. Also, start to understand what the gains are, what the value they do from getting those outcomes are. How do you allow yourself to reward some of those? So again, this is where, I think all of us know it's powerful for us to use our AI to get there. So let me show you. We've got a little prompt that will enable us to do that as well. So we're gonna leverage Claude again. If I can find Claude. Here's Claude. Claude's finished doing my uh, critiquing of my interview. Now I'm gonna have Claude actually go and do some analysis with that. And I've got sort of a transcript analysis. Again, this is only one interview that I did with Priya. So we're going to have the sort of single interview transcript. This might be a way to get feedback, to be able to pull your insights from one. You can eventually go through and have it do a bunch of different prompts for you. So here's, hold on. Here's, if I can do things live while I'm here, we'll enjoy it. There we go. And what I will share with you is a prompt that works for a single interview, which is what we did with Priya here, but also one that you can use with multiple interview transcripts. And again, what you want to do is throw that transcript at it. Here's the transcript analysis from our one interview with Priya. It gave some needs that she have about, summarizes it. It gave some jobs to be done that Priya might have, both functional, emotional, and social. Uh, and it gave some pains and gains and some quotes around that that Priya has in the course of using our product to get there. And then we have a good understanding of some of the things she might have from an inconsistent standpoint, what she says versus what she does. So I've got a little understanding from Priya in terms of those kind of things. Um, Last thing I just want to share with you all is just some little pieces on, in general, how can I build some high quality AI habits in terms of doing this, not just with interviews, but in general. Interviews are a good place to start. And there are, a bunch of habits out there that actually compound what you might do as a product manager and enable you to do in general. So, give AI context to be successful. Make sure it has a good understanding. It's a great assistant that can work with you, but if it doesn't have the context and the understanding of what it's trying to do, it won't do a good job for you. In this example, I made sure that my Claude understood who my persona was, what I was trying to get done, where I came from. If it didn't have that, it wouldn't work for me. And again, your AI is really a teammate. It is not an oracle. It doesn't have all the information. Don't treat it as if it has all the information. You need to provide it. And again, structure is good, right? Give it those insights. Give it the way you want the feedback to come back to you. Give it that structure so you can get output on a consistent basis from those. And again, you don't want to just query it for a bunch of random ideas. You want it to understand what the outcomes, what you're trying to achieve, where you're trying to go, and enable it to get there, if you will. And again, this is not a one and done kind of opportunity. It's something that you're going to want to iterate over time, give it feedback, allow it to do a better job as you go through with it. So if you put some of those habits in, you'll probably get better output from AI. All right, just to summarize, three pillars that you can use AI to help you do a better job in doing empathy interviews with the customers. It'll help you get started, help you build that sort of loose topic guide from the get-go. Make sure you're asking asking areas to probe, not specific questions. You can use it to help you conduct the interview. Again, rehearse with AI. Don't be afraid to do it. It may take one, it may take multiple ones. Make sure you're doing it the right way, that you're staying human when you work with them, that you're not leading, that you're not asking close-ended questions, that you're not driving solutions into your interviews, but you're actually starting to understand problems and jobs that the interview is trying to get done. And again, it's a huge tool in helping you to analyze, to take those random transcripts with lots of information and lots of verbiage in there and get to the key insights that you want to get there, right? And keep in touch. The title of this slide, the one thing that AI can't do for you is listening. You want to be there, you want to be present, you want to enable you to go there at the same time. So again, your AI is going to help you coach. It's going to help you synthesize. It's not going to be your answer to doing the conversation. I do not encourage you to go create a bunch of synthetic customers that use AI to probe and use that as your way to get product input. No, you want to actually go out there and talk to your customers real live and in person. Use AI to help you to be your guide as you do some of those things. All right, awesome. Ryan, you want to dive in here?
Absolutely. So, everybody, as a friendly reminder to all of you out there, please do download our State of the AI for Product Management report. So, scan the code, download the report, and get free insights. Those insights can help you not only mature yourself, but the organization that you sit within. So, check it out.
Nice.
We've also got a study that is happening right now. So, we want to know from you what outcomes you are achieving. So, this will help you download the certifications outcomes study. It's free. It can give you, again, additional insights onto how to increase the value of product management in any organization.
Got it. Yeah. So you'll see what the value of actually going and getting certification done. You'll see what other folks who have gone through the process, done the work to get them certified, and you'll be, I think, pleasantly surprised to see the impact that it's had on several of your partners in the product management space.
Absolutely. And know that if you are in the Austin area or want to visit the Austin area, you can come visit us. So we are going to be delivering our optimal product management training course in early December in Austin. So feel free to check it out.
And it's a great time to be in Austin in December. If you've
For
ever been
sure.
there, it's a great place. Don't go there now, but it's a great place in December.
A little hot.
A lot. It's over 100 degrees today.
Yeah. And then coming up very soon, you get to see Kenny again, along with our pal Dean, and the Beyond the Backlog webinar coming up on Wednesday, September the 2nd. So that is just in a few weeks, everybody. So we'd love to see you there.
Yes, that'll be exciting. Dean's going to actually teach me how to use GitHub to help me do a better job on leveraging AI as part of my product management initiatives. So if
Yeah,
you
how
want, if
GitHub can
you,
help a product person, not just
yeah,
developers.
yeah. So yeah, no, 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 no. Your developers aren't the only folks that can use GitHub. You can too as a product manager. And so
Yep.
if you're interested or intrigued by that, join us in a couple weeks where Dean will walk through and bring me up to speed on how to use GitHub.
hmm All right, and we have more virtual classes available as well. Those are live online. We've got not only optimal product management, but our AI product management course. So wherever you are in your product management journey, we have the solution for you. So feel free to check out our offerings or even reach out directly to Kenny or I on LinkedIn. We'd be happy to answer your questions and point you in the right direction.
Yeah, so if you either you want to take this kind of information, how to use AI as part of your product management, or just how to do product management in general, and they don't have the ability to travel to Austin in early December,
Right.
we've got some training courses happening in September, October, and even November that you might want to check out in advance
hmm
of that. All right, Ryan, I think we can get some questions from folks. There might be some that are
Yeah,
already in the
and
queue.
so we had one asked. This one is interesting. This takes a little bit of context. This is somebody who had an interview with a customer that was facilitated by a colleague on the customer success team. So it sounds like the customer success team connected them with the customer and participated. So at the end of it, the product manager shared all their thoughts with the customer success person, but never got confirmation or a response from them. So, rightly or wrongly, this person shared their thoughts on the interview with the vice president, to which then the customer success person disagreed with their thoughts,
Oh.
causing conflict. So the question is, then the VP said, "Well, I believe the guy who's been here 20 years. You're new product person. I don't believe you." So how do we deal with a situation like that? Or what's the best way to deal with situations like that? I have some thoughts, but I'll let you start.
So a couple things. One is, in today's world, the good news is I would transcribe all your customer interviews. One is you have then gives you not only help in this scenario where you can go, yeah, but this is what I heard. Here's what someone said, but also gives you more fodder for getting consolidated feedback on all the interviews we've had out there. So make sure you transcribe all your interviews. Hopefully, it'll avoid situations like that with, as he said, she said problem going on out there, but also gives you, I think, more reliable, documented evidence of what you heard in the interview itself. But what are some of your ideas, Ryan?
Yeah. So I guess first things first, and that is whenever I was doing an interview, I would schedule a debrief immediately following the interview with whoever was there. And I mean it immediately.
Yeah.
So I didn't give anybody an opportunity to forget or leave space for my interpretation and their interpretation. No, we sat down immediately, collected our thoughts, and agreed on what insights we want to remember from that. So that was like a simple thing I could recommend in this particular case. In addition to that, we are talking about like stakeholder management now. We're straying away from interview and knowing who the audience is, because salespeople, customer support people, or other customer facing roles are often an outlet for you sometimes to get access to a customer. And you got to remember that their relationship with the customer can often have been going on for a long time. So that works against you in two ways. I've had people that bring me along to talk to a customer, but then answer on behalf of the customer. We don't want that because then we're not hearing from them. Or they want to make their own interpretation of what the customer says. And it sounds like a little bit of that might be happening here. So maybe bringing a third party along to be, hey, what did you hear? Between the two of us could be useful too.
Yeah, and Ryan, I just want to pick up on that point and notify that sometimes you don't want those other people in the room, especially
Mhm.
salespeople. Salespeople, their job sometimes is to sell, and they do a really good job of selling. But selling and empathy are two different things. And so I remember back, I was doing some work on a product, and the salespeople wanted me to help them sell. So sometimes I'd go on the road and I would sort of help them sell with that. But I told them, hey, I want a half hour with these customers that you're helping to sell where I can actually get some of this empathy, basically do these empathy interviews and get the insight that I want from the customers. But guess what? You're leaving the room. They weren't very happy with that because one thing salespeople don't like to do is to have discussions with their customers when they're not around. But in order for me to really get true feedback on some of these, I actually kicked the salespeople out of the room when I had these, and I got them to agree. So I said, "Well, I'm not coming if you don't give me a half hour and leave the room while you do it."
Yeah.
Uh, so
Yeah.
that
Those are
helped a
always
lot.
interesting situations, right? With the salesperson who acts like a gatekeeper sometimes to customers too. Like you're not talking to my customer,
Yeah,
trying to figure out how that relationship works and where you can be valuable.
yeah, but try to get some time without them because otherwise they're gonna try to sell during your feedback session.
Yes, exactly. So, all right, Kenny, we got another one here too.
Oh, good.
How many interviews before you can trust a pattern you're hearing is real versus like maybe listening for the loudest voice or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, one, yeah. So there's always the question of how many customer interviews are enough customer interviews to do,
Hmm.
and sort of the rule of thumb I have on those is stop doing them after after you feel like you can forecast what the customer is going to say, um,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw in our poll as well that not asking leading questions is one of the hardest things for people. So, can you tell us a little bit from your perspective, Kenny, what did you see the difference between a leading question and maybe just being friendly? Like, how do we draw the line?
I mean, a couple of things. I mean, follow-up's a good thing to go for. And it allows the customer to feel like you're being friendly if you ask, you know, you want to be listening to and you want to go enable them to go deeper on a specific topic. So rather than just saying, hey, wouldn't it be great if, say, tell me about that situation where this happened, if something that they just brought up. That'll actually allow you to sound friendly because people like to be heard. They like to be thought that what they say is important. And if you ask that follow-up question, that give me deeper insight into what you just brought up in the discussion, people will start to open up more.
Yeah. And I guess the last question we have here is about scale. Like you showed us some cool things today. And how could, particularly the synthesis piece, how do we,
Mhm.
when drawing insights, does that work when we've got mountains and mountains of information, or do we need to be more focused than that?
In some ways, that's what it's best for, right?
Haha, yes.
It's that thing that you can't do very well. So we can probably do a pretty good job of summarizing one, maybe two interviews through just our own insight. But that's the advantage you get from some of the chat bots and the AI personas that are out there already, is that they can take amount of information, start to consolidate it all down, probe it and make sure it doesn't summarize it too high a level, right? Let it find sort of the the nuggets that might be in there that may have come from one or two or three or four of the folks that you do in there, and don't let it gloss over as a result
Mhm.
thereof. But it actually does a pretty good job of lots of interviews and summarizing lots of interviews at once.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess the last thought I'd like to leave with everybody is another great use case for AI is Copilot calls them agents, Claude and GPT call them projects, Gemini calls them gems, whatever you're using. You can set up a project with all of your interview debrief notes, your interview transcripts, your things, And you can set it up in a way that lets stakeholders interact with it to ask questions of, hey, can you show me a conversation or tell me about somebody that the product manager talked to that did this or felt like this? And it's keeping them from having to sift through all the details. They can just go find it themselves, which is getting everybody, your stakeholders, closer to the customer too. It's an easy outlet to do it.
Yeah. No, and I think that's one of the key and very powerful things that you can do about that is that you can actually query and get that specific quote that you might want to help prove your point out there. That,
Hmm.
if we go back to the time when people were taking notes and trying to pull things together, getting that specific quote was really hard to get out there. So now we have the ability to do that.
Yep. All right, everybody. I think that'll do for the day. We are at time. It was such a pleasure to spend our time with all of you. We hope you come back and see us sometime soon, and we will see you in the next one, everybody. Enjoy your
Great. Thank you
days
very
wherever
much.
you may be.
And tune in on September 2nd for learning about GitHub. Have a
There we
great
go.
day and enjoy.